my street, my boulevard. It's right up my Straza. Oh my God, it's garden right up there. Ah, it's right up my podcast. Oh.
Welcome to Right Up My Podcast. This is Gwen Watson.
And this is Kate White.
And this is the podcast in which we talk to really interesting folk who have really interesting ideas to make you feel good.
So this episode, we are speaking to a very special guest who we are really excited to share the airwaves with. We are talking to Luisa Bradshaw-White, who you will definitely know from Eastenders, This Life, Bad Girls, Holby City, and now she spends most of her time working as a conscious DJ, a breathwork facilitator, and her biggest passion, which is what we're going to be talking to her about, ecstatic dance.
We had so much fun trying this one out, by the way. Cannot wait to share the try out section with you. We went to a different plane. Let's just put it that way.
It was not what either of us expected, I don't think.
No, things got emotional. It was brilliant.
Yes.
So we met Luisa Bradshaw-White at the Big Retreat Festival, which we have just come back from, which was our very first festival.
It was. And anyone who follows our Instagram account will have seen the fun and games that we've been having over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, basically our Instagram is just us at a festival. And I did see somebody the other day saying, OK, honestly, this is going to be my last post from me at the Big Retreat Festival. I was like, girl, it's a week later and I'm still going. OK, what is the deadline on this?
Yeah,
at which point is it just boring?
Can you tell us? Listener, tell us. Just drop us a little DM if it's like, all right, we get it. Like, move on.
At which point do you have to hashtag Throwback Thursday in order to still be putting up pictures of the festival? So yeah, we went to our very first festival, which was the Big Retreat Festival in Lawrenny in Pembrokeshire. And this is, according to The Guardian, one of the top 5 wellness festivals in the country, Kate.
Yes, and we were there and it was so much fun. Firstly, because none of us have been to a festival for a couple of years, longer than that for some of us. And just to all be in that same space, that really kind of relaxed, stepping out of the bubble of everyday life into that kind of like magical little headspace that you go to when you go to a festival. Oh. It was just so good. And it was such a beautiful setting, wasn't it? My God.
I mean, this was one... If you're one of our Patreon, if you're one of our Rump Club, you will hear all about it because we did lots of us recording as we walked around. But basically, the setting was like nothing else in this world. I say nothing else in this world, but I did equate it to a festival I've been to in Tasmania where you had the main stage and then behind it you had the Tasmanian Sea.
Beautiful.
I don't know if that's what they call it. But yeah, in this one, behind the festival, it was basically set to a backdrop of this beautiful estuary. As part of the Cleddau River with just sweeping landscapes. And I don't know if you noticed as well, the other end of the rest of the estuary, you could see a castle. Now, it was a bit ridiculous.
I didn't see this. I'm a bit gutted I missed out on castle viewing. I'm just going to have to return there, specially to spot the castle. But what was also so lovely about it, we set up this podcast in lockdown, didn't we? So pretty much all of our interviews have been done remotely, particularly now that you don't live in Bristol anymore, to actually then be in the same physical space with our guests sat next to us, all recording and chatting like actual real human beings was such a joy.
Yeah, I mean, technically it's been a nightmare trying to edit it, but it was such a joy. But yeah, and us two sitting next to each other, asking questions and looking at each other and bouncing off each other rather than, doing it via Zoom.
More of that, please.
More of that. Oh, by the way, I just have to apologise for the sound quality of where I currently am. Regular listeners will know that we usually have tippity-top sound quality. I'm currently, however, sat at a table in a stone cottage in Monmouth where I'm house-sitting for a dog who you would have just heard lapping away at a bowl of water. I mean, is there anything more glorious to pick up on a mic?
You're having a little idyllic couple of days away.
It's wonderful.
Beautiful.
It's really lovely being in the National Trust in Monmouthshire and just taking time out from everything else, which I'm very lucky to do, having just been to a festival.
I'm going to Monmouthshire this weekend. I'm going to Usk.
On the very earth?
I know.
Oh, what are you doing there?
Camping weekend. I'm so knackered. The thought of going back camping again after last weekend at the festival. Gonna do it all again. I've literally just dried everything out, having to dig deep for this one. My God. We should mention that the first day at the festival, blue sky and sunshine. The next day, not so much.
Yes. We did see all the seasons, didn't we? Basically,
yeah, pretty much.
Over the few days. So, Kate, what were some of your highlights from the festival, from our very first festival? We spoke to some amazing guests, didn't we?
Oh, my God. That is such a tough question to answer. One of my highlights, actually, just because it was so funny and isn't really related to Right Up My Podcast, to be honest with you, was blagging our way backstage on the main stage to talk to Top Loader. Name me the only Top Loader song you know, Gwen. Go.
Dancing in the moonlight. Everybody, do, 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 do. What's your second favourite Top Loader song?
Well, did they do it? Although saying that, when we listened to them, I did surprise myself that I recognised them. They must have just come out at this sort of peak moment of my radio listening that I could recognise more of their songs than I thought I could.
You are actually a big Top Loader fan. Yeah, I should explain that during the festival, we were not only having face-to-face interviews with amazing people such as Beck Spiller, who created the Anti-Burnout Club, Shahroo Izadi, who is the UK's answer to Brené Brown, talking about changing habits. As we mentioned, Luisa Bradshaw-White, who you'll be hearing in just a moment, and the one, the only, the legend, the man, Mr. Motivator.
Now that has to be a highlight, doesn't it? Wow, what an incredible person! But we don't want to peak too soon and share all our Mr. Motivator secrets quite this early.
No, all of those interviews will be coming up probably during this season. But yes, also while we were there, we were also getting audio for the Big Retreat Festival and for a local radio station in Pembrokeshire called Pure West Radio, who said to us, oh yeah, while you're there, can you go and talk to Top Loader, please?
And we skulked around the entrance to the backstage of the main stage like two little schoolgirl groupies. Can we come and speak to Top Loader, please? The music manager, not even the tour manager, like the music guy was just like, have you pre-booked this? Like, have you gone through the official channels?
We were like, no.
Can't just rock up. No, let us in. But actually, shock horror, they did let us in. Got taken down to their little woodland hut that had been set up for them with some beers. And what is Top Loader's number one thing on their rider?
Well, this was the big surprise. Some people ask for blue M&Ms. Top Loader, they ask for Jaffa cakes.
Every live gig they've done for the last 20 years.
The drummer loves Jaffa cakes. So we were very lucky. We were so hilarious that we were offered anything from the rider. There was a whole table full of beers and wines. And we were like, oh, no, you're all right, thanks. He was like, would you like a Jaffa cake? Oh, yeah, go on then.
Oh, yeah, lovely. We'll have one of those. That's how I party.
Can I just tell you, though, as soon as we've just done this episode on, like, Ask, Believe, Receive, manifestation, we were like, yes, we are getting in to talk to Top Loader. And we'd had a couple of beers, obviously, so a little bit of extra courage. And we were just like, yeah, we're going in there. And within minutes, we were stood there, well, maybe a few longer minutes, we were stood there with Joe Washbourne, the lead singer of Top Loader, talking to him about what he does to make himself feel good.
Now, do we want to tell people what he does, or is that something you've got to head over to Patreon to find out about?
I mean, our Patreon club members will already know what Joe from Top Loader does to make himself feel good, because we have already shared that up there. And you can also go over and hear the full chat with Joe for as little as £3 a month.
I'm sure everyone's going to be lying awake at night. I need to know what he does. Come on.
Should we just tell people then?
Yeah, maybe we should just spit it out.
Do you know what? Probably the most natural thing. I never used to be. My dad's a real keen gardener, and when I was a kid, he used to drag me around his garden and try and show me stuff and tell me what the plants were, and I was always bored because I wanted to be playing the keyboards or something else. But as I've got older, that's my place that I feel the happiest is in the garden. Something very special happens, and you forget everything. And I don't have a huge garden. I live in West London, so I don't have a massive patch, but I've turned what I have got into a little oasis. So nice. I know all the names of the plants now, and now we share our love together of gardens. He's a lot older now, obviously, as we all are. But so that's the place. If I really feel a bit stressed or things are getting a bit much, so I go in my garden and get my hands in the dirt. It's pretty simple, really.
It was a really wholesome chat, actually, that we had with him.
It was so lovely. He loves gardening with his dad. It could not have been more wholesome.
It was so warming. I think, though, we probably should admit that we didn't have quite so much success the next night trying to get backstage to see Reef. They were like, yes. no, and no.
But also, we fully didn't expect that we would get in to see Reef. We were like, this is also the local radio station saying, yeah, go chat to Reef. We're like, oh, God. So we go back the next night, but we absolutely had no expectations.
We didn't even try that hard. We're like, can we, Reef? No, all right, later.
Oh, well, don't worry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Bye.
It's fine.
In fact, we should play this little bit of audio, shouldn't we?
Yeah, that's true.
Let's do that. All right, we are here. It is Saturday evening. They're doing sound checks for Reef, and the lead singer is just the other side of the fence doing some yoga to warm up. Now, we can't actually get in to talk to him tonight because he's busy. But, Kate, if you were to ask him what he does to make himself feel good, what would you guess?
My number one guess would be he likes a little bit of yoga.
Yeah.
Pre-show ritual.
I'm just going to... He's actually doing press-ups on his yoga mat, which is pretty impressive.
I do feel a little bit voyeuristic, just kind of gazing through the netting at him doing press-ups. But he's tall, I'll give him that.
Yeah.
What's really
strong.
And strong. What's interesting about it, so I remember seeing him at Glastonbury like 25 years ago when he was definitely not grey-haired, a young man with dark brown hair and just really youthful. And now he looks like C6 Steve now.
Yeah, or Wim Hof.
Oh, Wim Hof.
Yeah. Long white hair, big bushy grey beard.
Yeah.
And he's into yoga.
Yeah.
Things change.
He's found his festival, though, right? This is a place for him.
This is his place. Maybe we'll see him tomorrow wandering around with a yoga mat on his arm.
And what did we then realise 10 minutes later when they came on stage?
He came on stage and we realised that's not the lead singer.
Not the lead singer.
No, he's the bassist.
And the lead singer still has brown hair. Still kind of looks like he did 20 years ago. Anyway, Gwen, what about you? What were your highlights?
Oh, well, one of my highlights was you falling over in the mud, and that my first immediate thought was, I've got to take a photo.
Yeah, thanks for that, love.
But then I did have a little word with myself and think, no, I've got to actually pull her up and back onto her feet first.
Emotionally and physically.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely, like you were saying, being back in a festival, being surrounded by people, and the fact that we were going around talking to so many people and we were asking them what their highlights were of the festival and what they do to make themselves feel good. It was just really wonderful to be out there talking to people and, yeah, like you said, bringing ourselves out from behind our screens and just being out there in person. Oh. And also, I should also explain, we were so nervous before this festival.
Yeah, we were, weren't we?
Yes. I mean, I don't know if you listened to Fortunately with Fee and Jane. It's similar to when they were doing the Royal Albert Hall and you heard them beforehand, really nervous and feeling sick and going, why have we agreed to do that? We were the same level nervous, but we ended up in a gazebo in the corner of the Soul Space field with no audience. So...
We had great expectations, didn't we? For Mr. Motivator, we had an audience of one, which we'll tell you more about in that episode. That was hilarious.
She decided to join in with asking the question.
Like, why are you talking?
Do you know how a podcast works, lady?
Listen, you listen, we talk.
Yeah. But to be fair, before we went, we didn't know what to expect. There'd been talk about us being on the main stage interviewing Mr. Motivator, or at one point we thought we'd maybe just be doing it in our bell tent. But yes, in the end, we were somewhere in between. We were in one of the fields. We did have our own gazebo, and people were just wandering past and looking in. Like there was not actually room for anyone to sit down, to be fair. But yeah, I think what it made was a much more relaxing interview for everybody involved. And I think that our guests may have revealed bits that they wouldn't have revealed in front of an audience.
I think that's a really good point. Everyone at the end of their chats with us said, God, that was so nice. That was such a lovely chat. And because it was so intimate and low-key, they kind of just relaxed into it, didn't they? And shared.
Yeah. In fact, Louisa has revealed a little exclusive, which will be coming up in our interview very shortly.
It's right up my podcast.
Now, just a reminder about our Patreon page. This is where we put our extras from our episodes and where we put all our jingles, and also where Kate and I do a little bit of extra wiffle waffle just for your delectation.
Now, we don't rely on advertising in order to fund the production of Right Up My Podcast, but we do have a Patreon page where we would love it if you could go over, and if you can donate the cost of a cup of coffee once a month, that would just help to cover the time and the costs that Gwen and I spend in putting these episodes together, cover the time of our talented team who help us out and help us keep producing episodes of Right Up My Podcast with fabulous guests that we know you'd love to listen to.
If you'd like to become one of our supporters, head on over to patreon.com/Right Up My Podcast. So this is episode 27, all about ecstatic dance.
In this, the first of our big retreat festival specials, we talk to actor, DJ and breathwork facilitator Luisa Bradshaw-White. Now, you might know her for her role as Kira in This Life, or maybe as Tina Carter in Eastenders. She's also in Bad Girls and in Holby City. But we're talking to her about one of her big passions, ecstatic dance. And we started our conversation with Louisa by asking her, what is ecstatic dance?
It's basically about getting out of your head and into your body. So we all have these preconceived ideas about how we should dance. And dance moves and dance steps and loads of us, and the coolness of dancing and all of that. And this is about literally getting away from all of that. How should I dance? How should I dance? And bringing your energy down into the ground and connecting with the earth. And if you're drinking cacao, connecting with the heartbeat of the cacao and your heartbeat, connecting it all up and closing your eyes for a minute and allowing that energy from the earth to come up through you as you hear the music, so that you allow the music to sort of dance through you, so that and so the beginning kind of starts really, really chilled, so that you can really start to sort of feel the beat inside, and then the music starts to pick up and the sort of you allow your body to move in whatever way it wants to move. And there are some weird and wonderful dances going on. And then the music builds and builds and builds and builds and builds to like really, really, really like full on. There's all different types of music as well played. It's all different sort of
we were saying that I didn't expect we went from like 90s house through to like with a bit Gloria Estefan in there.
I loved that we had a conga. That's amazing. It's so good. So when you're planning the set list, you're really working through, in your mind, you're working through this energy curve.
So DJs come in and play live or whatever, and they stick to the same BPM, the same beats the whole time. And this starts off really, you change the beats. It's a wave. It starts off really chilled, and then it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds until everybody's ecstatic, and then it comes back down again. So you have to really, really prepare the set and plan the wave, and then
And I like that you brought it back down again, because I think to go from the peak of the wave to be like, right, laters, guys, that would be
no, you bring it back down at the end. And there's so many different types of sort of ecstatic dance. There's sort of conscious clubbing, sober raves, and then there's sort of movement medicine, and some, it's all different types. But sometimes there's two waves in it, and
And is there kind of like a general set expected journey that people are going to go on, like emotionally in it? Do you know what you're doing?
I hope so. I'm not always sure. I'm not always sure. Lots of people ask me that.
But you've got people in the palm of your hand. Do you pretty much know where you're going to take them to, or is it
it's their
different?
journey. Everybody goes on a completely different journey, and every journey you go on in a dance is completely different. Right. I mean, everybody has different experiences every time they dance, every dance that they go to. But you just remember that you haven't just gone to. I mean, some people, I've talked to them through it, and they say they just want to wait for the good bit. It's like, but you need to go through the journey, and sometimes the journey is feeling possibly a little bit inhibited at first, because that's where we're all at in our ego state, in our minds and all of that. So it's that beginning bit of taking that time to get out of the head and getting into the body. And over a few dances, people start to get it, and they go, get it now. But sometimes there's tears, sometimes and sometimes people are so sort of euphoric it ends in tears, but
Just
it's a
a
wellness
release.
workshop, it's not.
See, this was what was really interesting for me. I didn't realise that there was that element to it. I thought I got that it was this building up and that you would get to this crescendo and it would feel incredible, but I hadn't anticipated all the emotions that went with it.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a bit about the cacao? Because that's Gwen and I were like, great, hot chocolate, yummy.
Yeah.
Downed it, got dancing.
Yeah.
Started crying.
And then at the end you're like, oh, the cacao might be just about to kick in. So how important is that? And you started with the ceremony, didn't you?
Yeah, sometimes we use cacao, sometimes we don't use cacao. And you need to kind of take it sort of quite seriously when you do use it. If we do day retreats, it's really good to use it because you've got sort of your people there the whole day and lots of stuff can come up. But it opens your heart and it sort of can help you let go of your inhibitions.
Right.
But sometimes we don't have cacao and we dance and... I think also if you have had cacao and you understand... Everybody's at very different sort of stages in life.
Yes.
And some people that have come from like taking a lot of illegal drugs or drinking a lot or whatever and then want to sort of start conscious clubbing or to have some cacao.
Kind of tapping into something.
Can loosen it a bit.
Yeah. So and then some people mine and Jenna, our diet is like we're pretty raw in what we eat, so then the cacao is really quite potent for us.
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
Yeah, I can't have it when I DJ because I need to focus.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can't mix work and pleasure.
Right.
We're all on a journey, and the cacao takes you on a real journey, but we're all on ours as well. So.
Yeah, okay. I just had no idea that cacao could have that effect. And were you saying it's Peruvian?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
is it used in ceremony then in Peru? Yeah.
Well, it was thought of being quite sacred, wasn't it?
Yes.
Back with the Incas and the Mayans.
Yeah.
It was, how interesting.
Yeah. I mean, so you get the people that can't club anymore because they've got kids or they're too old and their body can't cope with it or for whatever reason that come. Then you've got the people that just want the most amazing aerobics class. Yeah. And then you've got people that it's a real sort of spiritual practice that is more sort of enthusiastic than yoga. Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Because it does feel like a workout as well. We're getting sweaty in there.
Sure, yeah.
So when you do it, when you're not DJing, when you're taking part in it, you were saying that every experience can be different. And is that the same for you? Like, having been doing it for years, I assume, does it feel the same now as it did when you first started?
I certainly have let go of a lot of inhibitions and I've learnt to be a lot less judgmental on the dance floor.
Oh, judgmental of others.
Yes, because I remember at first when I was introduced to the headset, I thought, oh my God, I really am left to my thoughts. And some of them weren't that clean, you know. I'd be you know, some of the things you see, especially in London at a lot of the ecstatic dances, there's a lot of like
people just letting their freak flag fly.
A lot going on there. So it's just about acceptance and anything goes really. And
so you mentioned something important there, which is a key part of it. So are headphones always part of the experience?
No, we have headsets because we dance outside.
Right.
So,
okay.
And if we were indoors, then you know a lot of people have like really loud music playing or whatever.
Right.
Outside in the parks or whatever, most people have their headsets.
It does feel different though, because it's a lot more. Like you said, you're in your head, aren't you? You're not hearing all the extraneous noise around you.
And then it becomes more of a personal journey as well, and you can't stop and shout at your friend. So it reminds you that
I love this one.
Yeah.
And you said at the beginning, or one of your colleagues said that that they were encouraging people to close their eyes, which of course takes away. Which I did. Did you do that?
I did.
Kate?
Yeah, it felt very different.
So is that a key part of the experience to have your eyes closed? Do you think, or what's that doing?
I think at the beginning it can help you to sort of ground that energy. Some people keep their eyes closed the whole time. Some people want to really engage with others.
Okay.
And there's that sort of joy. Yeah. I think the beginning is more of a sort of personal inward journey, and then as the music really starts to pick up, everybody's looking at each other and joining in. Yeah. It can get really wild.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. On Sunday night I've got one and we're playing more sort of like the sort of drumming music, this sort of house and drum. That's sort of
bit tribal.
A lot, yeah, sort of tribal music, but
Stirring.
house with it. And that really sort of builds and builds, and then it's really good. I'm excited about something.
That sounds really
great.
good. Definitely.
Maybe we should hang around for Sunday night.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Now, we really wanted to talk to you as well about, because you've come a long way, because a lot of people listening to this will remember you from your EastEnders days.
Hey, well, look, I've written a list.
Oh,
I'm prepared for this.
Here's
Okay,
with
you
it.
may know Luisa Bradshaw-White from her days as, Kira in This Life.
Yay.
That's where we first saw you, probably. Lorna Rose in Bad Girls.
Oh, God.
Lisa Fox in Holby City. And Tina Carter in
Yay.
Eastenders. She's a troubled soul, isn't she?
Oh, no, it's a happy thing. Silly thing.
How did you move from doyenne of the screen to being a conscious DJ?
7.5 years, and I just felt like that experience was done. Like I could carry on. I mean, don't get me wrong, the money would have been lovely to carry it on for the rest of my life, but I just kind of thought, you just know that you need new experiences in life, and it was, it was the loveliest job, and it was so perfect for me at the time, and it was down the road from where I lived, and I wanted to raise my kids, and I wanted time at home, and I got everything I needed. But my kids are big now, and I've done 30 years in that career.
Wow.
And it just, it's really, the press said, that I'd left acting to, they actually said to be a dance teacher, and I just thought, whatever.
Yeah.
And then someone from the press actually said, have you left? I said, no, I didn't say I'd left. No. But then then left. Then left, and thought, I'm not really announced. I'm probably announcing it here, but it just doesn't. I sort of lost interest.
Right,
I lost interest, and I'm so passionate about breathwork. I'm so passionate about conscious DJing. I'm so passionate about spreading joy and like raising people's happy and helping people to sort of, I don't know, appreciate the earth and helping them on their journey, and it just sort of took over.
Yeah. Was there something in particular that drew you to it? Was there something in your own life that...
I've been like that since I was about 17, 18.
Right.
Yeah, always. It's always run. I trained as a breath worker when I was doing Holby City, because I just thought there's no way I can do 4 years in this show without doing something that really sort of feeds my soul.
Yeah.
Much as it was the loveliest job. My favourite job, probably.
Was it?
The loveliest job. Yeah. But I checked, they were so nice to me. They just kept letting me go off for weekends to do training in this and training in that.
Brilliant. Just felt you could do that. Yeah. But you do soul breath work, is that right?
So it's conscious breathing, conscious breath work, which is really different from like the yogic breathing at the end of the yoga or something like that. So Wim Hof, it's similar to that.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same experiences that happen. So I know he's just sort of made it pretty famous.
He's got the celebrities involved, so now everyone's talking about
involved,
it.
Yeah. So and you go on a journey. You connect the breath. Yeah. And the music. Again, I DJ the music so that the music picks up as well. And
with the breath?
With the breath.
Okay.
And you lie down and you and after about 15 minutes of connecting the breath and breathing in this way, you go into an altered state of consciousness. And the DMT, the dimethyltryptamine, which is the hormones that would be released if you took ayahuasca or LSD.
Right.
Your body produces it itself through the sort of bliss molecule, they call it.
Right.
Through just through breath. Yeah. And you feel this, oh my God, the most incredible. It's by far the most incredible sort of healing modality there is. It's absolutely amazing. It's completely changed my life. It's rid me of every bit of trauma. If you don't keep breathing, you get more. If you don't keep breathing, you get more. It's all gone. Yeah. I'm completely enlightened.
Are you hyperventilating? Is it that type of breath?
No, it's the opposite of that.
Opposite.
It's all about the inhale, and hyperventilating is when you push the exhale.
Because that's because we did an episode on soma breathwork, so that was like holding your breath after you pushed it out.
It's similar. You keep connecting, you just keep connecting the breath, and it's all about the inhale. And your body is so filled with life force that any sort of trauma that we have stuck in our body just gets released, and you're so aligned effortlessly, it just comes up and it comes out. You can get the most incredible sensations in your body, have real spiritual awakenings or spiritual experiences, and such a profound inner peace and joy.
Wow.
Because I've picked two things that not that many people really know about. I didn't pick. I just happened to, they're my thing. And it's sometimes quite difficult to promote something that both things people are going, I don't know what she's talking about. And it's like, you know, with breath work, I just think you just breathe, and then we'll talk about it afterwards, because it's really hard to explain. Everybody has a different breathe to everybody else, and every time you breathe, you have different experiences, and you release different stuff. And it's quite incredible.
Presumably, this is something you can do in the comfort of your own home. Is this something you do like regularly yourself?
I breathe myself. Whenever an issue comes up, I'll breathe. I breathe it out. Breathe it out. And I don't just breathe to feel better. I breathe it out. Like, I got triggered the other day by somebody. And I just thought, fine. Went off for a walk, came back an hour later, and I was still sort of going on about it in my head. And I just thought, well, you know what to do. Go and breathe. So I went to breathe, and I'd been breathing for about 3 minutes. And I knew straight away it was nothing to do with what had happened. It was like, why did you get triggered by what had happened and somebody else wouldn't? And it's like, it brings up your stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So after about 3 minutes, the sort of real reason why what I'd got upset came up, and there it was allowed to be healed, and real sort of emotional stuff, and it just, and yet you're so aligned and in like such a beautiful place when it comes up. It's amazing.
I wandered wildly across yonder hilltop. Butterflies are fluttering all peaceful in the sun. And there I spied a damsel laying in the grass. She was just a robot, and none of this was real.
I read a quote that you had quoted saying that you're actively looking at happiness every day.
Oh, yeah.
So the podcast that we do here is all about things to make you feel good, about feeling good, whether that's to do with your mental health, your physical health. Yeah. So what do you do every day to actively seek happiness?
Oh, lovely question. So I paddleboard. Not every day, because I don't live, I might soon. But I don't live, in fact, I've been laughing because where I live, my local water is the canal, and I'm like literally wading through poo, and I'm trying to go, it's fine, it's fine.
This is a wonderful experience.
I love paddleboarding because I experience real profound joy out in the water when there's nobody else around, and there's just beauty and silence and nature, and you're poised like you would be, like, you know, you're focused because you don't fall, especially in the canal, you don't fall off. So you're really focused and present. And the combination of all of those things really gets me. I love walking, I love nature. I've got Shetland ponies. I love just focusing on grooming them, you know, just like and then sort of chat with them a bit, and it's silly. What makes me happy? Just so many, just real, all it's all nature. Really.
So that's real focus for you.
And all about getting present, or having those moments where you're just really present. There was something you said about in the dancing that you're reconnecting people to the ground. Is that what you said, or to the earth?
Yeah, like out of the head, because it's all, the head is all about how we should feel we should dance, or how we feel, you know, am I doing this right? And at the beginning of breath work, it's all about just getting out of the head, letting go, am I doing this right? All the ego comes up, and it's about letting go of it, and then just connecting and allowing your body to just move.
Because that can be hard sometimes to get out of your head and
really
let all
hard.
that go.
Yeah,
I didn't
really
realise.
hard.
Yeah, and I didn't realise till I shut my eyes in there just how much. How busy, like we've been so busy in the lead up to this, and you know, things, my mum's not well and my friend's having shit and all this stuff going on, and it was suddenly
energy.
And it was suddenly like, I just want to, like, I felt like wanting to throw it all off in that moment and just get back to get back to the core.
Yes.
Yeah.
Life is really full on, isn't it?
is.
Yeah.
Even like I'm having this thing with Instagram at the moment where, you know, like you scroll down and you've had like 5 different, just by going like that, 5 different sort of energies sort of coming at you, and then somebody leaves you a message, and that's somebody else, and then somebody may have commented on something else, and it's like, it feels like an explosion of like slightly overwhelming, and yet then you compare that to what I was saying about grooming the pony and like literally being present and nothing, just grooming the pony and listening to, oh, she doesn't like it when I do that, or that, going back to that. They're such extremes, aren't they? So there's me posting on Instagram, you know, put the phone down or whatever, but I'm trying so hard to find that balance, to be able to, if I can, help people or spread a bit of light in this crazy world where everybody's got their heads down and they're in their phones, but I've got to put it down myself and actually practice what I preach. And
yeah, it can be hard.
We've got to. We have to, don't we?
We do have to, because it doesn't make you feel good when you're in your phone like that. You come away feeling just disconnected.
And time just fucking passes.
And we haven't got enough time to meditate or to, you know, go for a walk in nature or whatever your thing is to sort of raise your vibration. We haven't got time for it because we spent so many hours scrolling.
Completely. So on our podcast, we like to talk about mental health quite a lot because it all ties into it, and we sort of talk about our own experiences. And you've been quite vocal about some of your experience with mental health. Do you mind me bringing that up?
No, not at all.
No.
I don't. I try not to talk about it too
Fair
much
enough.
because, for one, I don't like. Well, I don't know, but everybody loves the story, don't they, of the sort of the awful time you had and then how happy you are at the end. We love the book, don't we, the abused child that ends up, like, you know, being sort of really happy and all of that. Everyone loves that.
I guess it makes you realise, oh gosh, they're human. They're human just like me.
And also, you know, if you're just happy, then it can come over as really shallow, can't it? Or what would she know?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I've had the worst journey ever with my mental health. I mean, inpatient for months at a time, diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. I couldn't even tell you right now if that diagnosis was correct. I'm questioning everything. Had really, really bad bulimia from the age of 17, I think. It's been been a journey for me to learn to live in this crazy world and learn to love myself and look after myself and accept myself, and to learn to ground my energy when the world can get, you know, crazy.
Totally.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm in another lifetime now. Yeah. It feels I can't even explain to you the difference. And you know what? I think it's purely from literally going out every single day and mechanically working that muscle of raising your vibration, of looking for the happy, looking for the joy, and not settling for like mediocre, but really going, you know what, look for it every day, everywhere, in every person, in every place. Make it the only thing that matters, the only thing that's worth putting effort in is your mental health.
Yeah. And actively looking for it. I really like that. Like actively, whatever scenario, and being like, that is wonderful, that is beautiful. That combing the pony's hair. It's just not what you do at all, is it? Combing the pony's hair.
You're doing it backwards. Kate, can I just describe to the listener that she's trying to emulate? She's trying to do
my pony would be furious if she groomed her like that. She'd be telling you,
she's never seen a pony in her life.
Well, you know, there's other ways I find my happy.
Yeah, that's it as well, isn't it? We can't tell each other, you know, you need to get out on a paddleboard because that might not be
your thing.
That might not be you. I've got a friend who has totally found her joy. I mean, she's had a really difficult journey in pole fitness, she's called it. It's not pole dancing.
Yeah. So there's no judgment attached.
That is a skill,
she is apps. I mean, she keeps posting things on Instagram and it makes me smile. So I said, please keep posting because it's just incredible watching it. And then another friend, it's pottery.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything worse. But seeing the joy in her from at this wheel and the creations she's coming up with, and she's thinking about it in the week. What am I going to create at the weekend? It's find your thing. Find your thing.
Find it. Yeah.
And find just self-care, isn't it? Find what makes you happy and keep finding it, and it might change. Keep looking for it and never, ever, ever give up. And I do believe that's the secret to not needing the medication and not needing to be admitted. And
and that it can change. The thing that works for you today doesn't have to be the thing that works for you in 2 years' time.
Because we keep evolving.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Now, you mentioned raise your vibration. Yeah. This is a phrase that I hear a lot, and I don't even know if I fully understand it.
Okay.
And if somebody at home is also thinking, I like it, but I don't fully understand it.
What is it?
What is it?
I like
this
it,
is all
but what
very
is
well.
it?
What are you talking about?
So basically, there's kind of this miserable, and then everybody's got their state, haven't they? So, like, what would you say you are most of the time? Like, everybody's like a 5 out of 10, aren't they? You know, like you're just walking, and all right, or whatever, and you let other people make you happy, or you let a certain situation lift you or make you feel down. And this is about literally going out every single. I mean, my way of doing it is to go out for a walk. Allow, like, say 10 minutes to go by so the endorphins kick in, because then you'll go from a 5 to a 6.
Nice.
And then you're a 6, so therefore you can allow more sort of good thoughts to come in, and then you start sort of going, I really love that tree, or I love how the sun's coming in. And you don't push it. You never go too far out of where you're at, because then it's fake, isn't it? And you don't believe it. You need to believe it. So you just slightly tweak it. Oh, I love how the sun feels on my back, and actually it's a really nice day. Oh, I'm really pleased I got the day off today to do this. Oh, I'm really pleased this. And then gradually you've gone to a 7. Now, when you're a 7, or whatever number you're at, all other thoughts on that vibration come in. So if you're a 2, all the other stuff on a 2 is going to come in. So all this rubbish stuff in life, illness and all this stuff just comes in. So if you can keep raising yourself to like a 7 or an 8 every day, and you can do it just by tweaking, raising your happy, looking for the happy, allow it. 17 seconds is all it takes for more thoughts on that same level to come in.
Right.
So if you're a 2 and you want to get to a 10, and you think, well, how I can't get from a 2 to 10, it's impossible. But you can get from a 2 to a 3 in 17 seconds. And you just keep going with that 3. More thoughts like that will come in 17 seconds. And then you just tweak it again. So within I don't know, I haven't done do the maths, however many minutes or whatever, you can do it. It's impossible to do it. So it's mechanically making yourself happy.
Right.
Well, that's my interpretation of it anyway.
I love this so much.
do.
I felt my vibration has raised just in that conversation. I was swept up in the excitement of it and the possibility of it.
It's so exciting.
Yeah,
It's so exciting.
And then it's easy. Like that makes it feel like it's an easy thing that we can switch up our moods.
And the more we practice that, and the more we grow this muscle, the easier it is. If you go down and something bad happens, and you have a bad weekend, or you can get back to it so much quicker when you've got that strong muscle,
and not to be at the mercy of our brains. The fact that everything our brain says, we don't have to believe it, and it's not necessarily true.
Totally.
Yeah, and which was a big revelation for me when I discovered that. That it's like, oh, okay, so I don't, like, everything that comes out of that brain isn't necessarily something that I've got to agree with.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily helping you either. Yeah.
Most of it is getting out of the thinking brain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getting out of the thinking brain. We think far too much, don't we? Getting back into
feeling.
Present moment, just being.
I was going to get you to do something really cheesy because I really liked your most recent Instagram post, and I thought maybe you could read it out.
That's funny. What rubbish was I chatting about? It's all part of the journey, the highs, the lows, the good days, the bad days. Allow yourself to ride the wave. Don't be too hard on yourself. We're all just trying to figure things out. Nobody, whatever their Instagram tells you, has it all worked out. Just keep being kind to you. Meditate, still the mind, let go. Be easy on yourself. Look for the joy. Do things that bring you joy. Find a hobby that is uplifting for your soul. Live in the moment. Put the list down and walk barefoot in the grass. Allow yourself to do nothing, even for just a short while. Bring your mind back to the present moment, to the now. That is all we have. Sending love and good vibes. We got this. That's funny. That's just sort of what we were talking about, isn't it?
Thank you so much to Louisa for having such a lovely, warm and honest chat with us. It was really, really fun for both of us to all sit there and talk together. You can find out more about Louisa's ecstatic dance sessions and her breathwork on her Instagram. You can find her at @officiallulubw. And you can also go to @omloveuk on Instagram, which is the official ecstatic dance page. And Louisa's teamed up with Forestry England to bring her ecstatic dance sessions to some amazing outdoor locations. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on that. I know she mentioned one of them, Westerburt Arboretum, which is quite near where I live, which she's working with Forestry England to put on a session at. And I think that's going to be amazing because it's the most beautiful location.
Are you going to go to that, Kate?
I would love to. Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye and find out when the date is because I think that would be incredible.
Yeah. So as you know by now, we tried our hand at ecstatic dance by joining in with Louisa's workshop at the festival.
It was so brilliant that when we came out, we thought, let's just record straight away and capture how we feel now because we both felt quite emotional, didn't we?
We did. I feel like we were in a slightly different world. And this is what that sounds like.
Hello. Kate. So Gwen and I have just been and taken part in one of Louisa's ecstatic dance sessions, haven't we?
Yeah.
I feel super emotional.
Me too, and I don't think I expected to. I think we should probably start from the start.
So
I feel a little bit spaced out. Can I just make that I just want to make that aware.
Yeah, likewise.
Before we begin, that we've literally taken off the headphones about 5 minutes ago, if that. So you are getting us fresh
out the tent. We started a bit late because we needed some food.
I mean, girls got to eat.
Girls got to eat, right?
Is like over 2 hours long.
I can
and we were like, yeah, we're up for it, but we got to eat.
We got to eat. So we went in a full stomach, which was probably a good idea. And at the start of it, they do a cacao ceremony, which we missed. However, when we arrived, they still gave us some cacao. Now, we're going to ask Louisa when we have a chat, when we have an interview with her in a minute, kind of to explain that, because I was just thinking, what a lovely cup of hot chocolate that is. How soothing. I think there's more going on to it than meets the eye.
And then at the end, she goes, oh, your cacao should be just kicking in now. I'm sorry, lady, what is in this hot chocolate?
Your what? You gave us what?
But anyway, so they have a cacao ceremony, which Louise can tell us more about, which will be old news because you'll have already heard the interview. And then everybody's given headphones, and then it turns into a bit of a silent disco.
It's just like a silent disco.
Yeah.
So Louisa's at the front, on the decks, dancing. In fact, actually, before you start, it's hilarious. For anyone who's seen a silent disco, it's hilarious looking in from the outside before you get involved, because all you can see is a load of people in complete silence just stomping around. The DJ on their platform just like
jumping,
going for
arms
it
in the air.
in silence.
And we were watching this while we were having lunch, thinking, what are we letting ourselves in for? But when we went in, it takes you on a journey.
Yeah.
So it would have started slowly, and then it takes you to an ecstatic point.
The tempo, the rhythms, it all builds.
Basically, typical Kate and Gwen style, we entered in as the ecstasy was being poured into people's ears.
So we went from 0 to 100 miles an hour in musical terms. 1 minute I was eating my halloumi, next minute I was in the throes of an ecstatic dance session.
And I tell you what, the music was amazing, and it really
was
felt
amazing.
Like, I don't know, if anybody who's been dancing in the 90s in a club with maybe a little bit of extra fuel, with their arms in the air, and when a great song comes on, like she played Let the Sun Shine,
it was very euphoric.
The sun
and to set the scene,
so we were immediately in and dancing.
And it's an open-sided tent, so we were dancing looking over this incredible view, over this beautiful estuary, rolling green hills, blue sky, sunshine. I mean,
festival flags gently billowing in a gentle breeze.
It couldn't have been more beautiful, more euphoric feeling.
Perfect.
And then gradually, we had a conga halfway through. Spontaneous conga broke out, wasn't expecting that. And And then she just took it back down again, didn't she?
Yeah.
As far as, the musical vibes, the musical tempo.
Yes. And I guess let's talk about what we experienced during that.
Tell you start, Gwen. How did you feel then during this kind of arc, this
journey,
energy arc she took us on?
Yeah, like we were saying, we just came in bouncing, and it was arms in the air, smiles on our faces, and just really going for it, dancing as hard as we could.
Yeah, she said at the end when we went to say hello, she was like, when you rocked up halfway through, I was like, oh, yeah, there's the podcast girls, they've arrived. Whee! As we skipping.
We were straight in, jumping around, true festival style. And I just felt this real euphoria.
Yeah.
And I almost felt like tingly. There was just such a freedom in it.
Yeah.
But then I remember hearing as we were walking in, her saying to these other people who just started, saying, you can close your eyes and ignore everybody else.
Yeah.
And so after a while, I was like, actually, I want to close my eyes.
Yeah.
I want to be less aware of the surroundings. And a bit more like dance like nobody's watching.
Yeah.
Because you are self-conscious when you're dancing. And
Yeah,
there's
it takes
people
a
looking
while.
at you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's it was really nice then to just close my eyes and not care about what I looked like.
Yeah.
And just have a good stomp.
Yeah.
And then it was just surprising how busy my mind was.
Yeah.
I think we've had such a busy week in the lead up to the festival. We've had an episode to get out. We've had all the preps to get to this place.
We've had fresh interviews that we've done with people in New York.
Yes.
We've been on it.
Yeah, and it's our first festival, so we're both really nervous.
Anxiety has been a little bit high.
Yeah, through the roof. So it was just, I suddenly really felt like letting all of that go.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I did. I felt like, actually, I'm so glad that we did that, because I'd been feeling a bit anxious before. Not anxious because I was worried about doing the dance or anything.
Yeah.
I'd had a little tech malfunction. Oh, yeah. I'm trying, my kids and my husband are here somewhere, and I'm really aware I want them to have a good time. Do you know what I mean? So there's been a bit going on.
Yeah.
And actually, just like you, I suddenly felt that kind of, wash away a bit. And I completely agree about the shutting the eyes point. Because at first I was quite enjoying looking at the other dancers, just kind of soaking
looking
it
at this
in,
amazing waterside view.
Looking at the view. And then when I shut my eyes, you suddenly turn inwards a bit, don't you? And you just begin to quiet in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was amazing what came up, actually, in that time as well.
Yeah.
And I was really feeling that, like, this weight on me that I want to lift off me. And that then felt really moving.
Yeah.
I think the music took a turn, didn't it?
It did take a turn. It was really like, what was that song that you were singing earlier that they put on? It was really like happy vibes, almost like Ibiza Sunset, real kind of
Cafe Del Mar.
We were there. Yeah, those kind of vibes, really fun, but jumping around. And then, as Gwen said, it then began to slow down and become quite really emotive, really kind of I don't know how to describe it.
I don't know. I was like, what magic is she doing here?
What
Because
magic is she weaving?
Initially, it made me feel sad.
I got
it
this
made me
welling up. Yeah. Do you think that's when the cacao kicked in at the same time for both of us? Yeah.
But they were saying at the end that this is what happens, that people get really emotional.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what happened. Tears sprung to my eyes.
Yeah.
And I was really feeling like wanting to just shed myself of all this stress, all this stuff, all this stuff that's been weighing on my brain.
Yeah.
And tears.
I was the same. I got this overwhelming, sudden flood of emotion. I didn't feel sad. It felt like love. I felt suddenly like this big welling of love, and I suddenly felt this like fierce sort of mama bear protective love as well towards the girls it kind of focused on. And also I got a bit emotional looking around at everybody in one space dancing together, letting it all out. Suddenly thought about the last 2 years of everybody being locked in their houses and not able to connect, and like how powerful and important it is to be together in a shared space and be happy together. Like, we're such social creatures.
Yeah.
And I got a real overwhelming feeling of like almost relief.
Yes. Do you know, I experienced that exact emotion as well, relief.
Interesting.
Yeah. And also just felt so lucky. There's something about standing there as well. The breeze is coming in off the water.
Yes.
Sunshine. Like, it could not be
beautiful.
a more perfect setting, I have to say.
It's
Don't want to rub it in.
postcard dreamy.
It's ridiculous. But I just felt so lucky to be here.
Do you know what I had? I had a moment of suddenly thinking back, looking at this view in front of us, imagining that this has had people living on these lands for thousands of years, and thinking back to those people probably fishing, getting water cockles in the mud.
Girl, you went deep.
We're only in there for 5 minutes.
They couldn't have imagined the one day there'd be a bunch of women dancing around with headphones on.
No, sobbing quietly. What are they doing? Go catch some fish, girl.
Dreaming of those simpler times.
Tribe's got to eat.
No, you say we were in there 5 minutes. We were actually in there. Oh gosh, we were in there for quite a long time.
Very.
Yeah. Well, it's 2:20. We got in there about 1:30.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we did a good half an hour, 40 minutes. But yeah, I don't know about you, but I was not expecting that. And I fully thought, because we're not doing the full session, we weren't going to get the desired effects.
Exactly.
But I think we really did.
I think we did as well. Maybe we didn't get, like, who knows? I mean, goodness, if we'd started at the beginning, who knows where our
We'd be a
ecstatic
fucking mess right now.
Static levels of dance would have taken us.
We'd be like, let me tell you this thing that happened in my childhood.
And interesting, she did say at the end, you know, if it's brought anything up, normally when we do these, we'll all then spend a good hour or so, have a picnic together, talk and share and hug.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I didn't realise that. I thought this was just like a, you know, dance off.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that there was this layer to it.
Yes.
And she said, oh, I can see it's released some things in people around the room. I was like, oh, good, I'm not the only one.
Well, yeah, actually, there were other people wiping away some tears at the end there. Yeah. It also really made me think, I want to do more meditation. I don't know about you, but I realised how busy my mind was when I stopped still and closed my eyes. I thought, oh, this means I need to do more meditation.
And if you could use one word to sum up how you feel now, what would that be?
Oh, God, that's a good question, Kate.
Shall I go first, as
yes,
I know
please.
my answer? Calm.
Ooh,
I felt a bit knotted before, and now I feel calm.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel all right. I feel like all the stress is gone.
Yeah, it's all good, baby.
And, yeah, I feel grateful. How's that for a word?
It's a great word.
Yeah. And the other thing that I really felt, my other one word would be love. Because I really felt that in there when you strip everything away.
Yeah.
So, Kate, would you do it again?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It'd be interesting to go into it knowing what to expect, if that impacted the experience at all.
Yeah.
Could you go into it kind of geared up and ready for something or to feel in a certain way? Whereas this kind of blindsided me a little bit, took me by surprise because, you know, we just wolfed down some dinner and wobbled in. Didn't really
Getting ready for a disco.
Didn't think much other than that. So it'd be interesting to do it with expectations and see how that changed the experience.
Yeah.
What about you, Gwen? Would you do it again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
What? Tell me what.
Do you know what? I've often been invited to go to, like, trance dance things and 5 rhythms and all of this stuff, and I am always, without exception, I'm always like, oh no, that's not for me. I don't think I could actually stand there. I always think I couldn't actually just let myself go and dance in a room full of other people.
That's interesting. Do you get self-conscious dancing? If you're at a party or a club night at your local pub or something, does it take a while for you to just not
I laughed
feel...
at that, but yes, we do have club nights.
Well, I know, that's why I said it, because I know that's what goes down in West Wales.
Well, I think lately, I definitely have always been very aware of how I look when I'm dancing.
Right.
But lately, because I've been doing it with the help of a bit of microdosing on the psychedelics, I get far more into just enjoying and feeling the music. And so similar to that, I don't give a shit what I look like. Yeah. And one time I just stood there for like 2 hours with my eyes closed and my hands in the air, barely moving while everybody's bouncing around me to techno. And people are still talking about it to this day. So, I now feel that I could go to one of these I could go to one of these workshops now and feel very comfortable just not giving a shit about what I look like and just feeling and just going through the experience.
Without the extra help.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's brilliant. How amazing. I mean, how amazing to be able to sort of have that experience and be a bit freer and less self-conscious without having to have a bit of extra stimulation. You know, that's very cool, I think.
Yeah, although God knows what was in our cacao.
Yeah. Were we? Thank
you so much for listening. And you can get in touch with us by emailing writeupmypodcast@gmail.com or find us on Instagram and Twitter @writeupmy.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow wherever you listen so you never miss an episode. And if you are on Apple, then we would absolutely be delighted if you could rate us, 5 stars please, and leave us a review. Oh, and don't forget to share with your friends.
And if you want a little bit more Right Up My Podcast, head over to our Patreon page where you can join the Rump Club. Head to patreon.com/rightupmypodcast.
There you will find loads of backstage stuff from the Big Retreat Festival and loads of us just walking along, whiffly waffling and chatting to folk as we do it.
Very atmospheric. And thank you to our team, who we should mention. I actually got to meet Erica for the first time at the Big Retreat Festival. Erica's an incredibly talented artist who does our artwork for us. That was such a treat.
Did we get a photo of us 3 together? No, we didn't, because we're absolute failures. Also, a big thank you to Andy Grimes, who does our music.
And we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another episode from the festival where we talk to the founder of the Anti-Burnout Club, Beck Spiller. But meanwhile, keep trying things
to make you feel good. Bye-bye.
Tell me, did you like the podcast, Brian?
No!
Oh. If, unlike Brian, you thought our podcast was really great, then don't hold back. Like, subscribe, and tell your mate. But if, like Brian, you thought our podcast wasn't fun, then just keep quiet. Don't feel the need to tell anyone. We'd love to hear from you if you've got some thoughts to share. Such rich and lovely views that all should be aware of. But I hope you liked our podcast and you thought it was really great. And if you did, like, subscribe, and tell your mate. 'Cause we don't need grumpy pants bringing everybody down. No, we don't need negative Nellies making people frown. So I hope you liked our podcast and you thought it was really great. And if you did, like, subscribe, and tell your mate.